That's kind of the human version without musical instruments of the theme a little bit, Bill.
I hear you, brother.
Before we get started with part of our baseball extravaganza month of March, our version of March Madness is MLB Madness, though we will mention any pending important NCAA news that we think is relevant. But before we do that, I do want to mention my pal Dennis Ingraldi of Vineland Realty Corporation, who's sponsoring us as he always does. They're at 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. And you can call them at 856-690-9482. Dennis and his crew from Vineland will go out and help you with any of your South Jersey property needs, whether it's business, residential, whether you want to buy, sell, rent out, rent, lease, whatever you want to do. Dennis and his folks will either be able to help you or get you to the right resource. So that's Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. Once again, their number 856-690-9482, and tell them you heard from the Cheap Seats with John and Bill, and let them know what you heard from us, that we think they're pretty good. So there you have it. And we'll not so smoothly transition into our baseball discussion, Bill.
Yes,
we do want to thank Dennis for sponsoring us. Appreciate it, pal.
Yeah, let's warm those bats up.
That's it. So what we plan to do today, folks, is if something rears its ugly head about the rules, which the new rules haven't really been too bad yet, Bill, in preseason exhibition games. I know Max Scherzer even admitted on purpose he was kind of messing around with the pitch clock rule and had a balk called on him. So he extended the pitch clock, I guess, and had a balk called. So he did that on purpose, he said. And there was a game the other day where the batter, bottom of the ninth, 2 down, 2-strike count. The batter did not get back in the box within the allotted 8 seconds, so that the pitcher could start his windup. And at that point, what happened with the pitch didn't matter. The umpire stopped the game, called strike 3 on the batter because he's supposed to be in the box. That's the rule. He wasn't, and it ended the game. So again, it's preseason, so it ended that game. And I did forget to tell you, I don't know if you probably saw it too, that the Pirates and Orioles had a game the other day where it was the bottom of the ninth. The game really technically by rule was already over. Umpires left, but both teams wanted to get a little more work in, so they played the bottom of the ninth anyway without umpire.
Yes.
I think it was Baltimore's catcher was calling balls and strikes.
Yeah.
Bottom of the ninth. He said, "Thank God none of the pitches were borderline." He said they were either one or the other, but and the results stayed the same. But obviously, exhibition games don't matter result wise. I mean, that's why you see.
And the reason why the umpires left is, they have their own set of rules.
They have a union too, and they have their own set of rules. And could you imagine one of them getting hit by a foul ball or getting hurt in a thing that doesn't even matter? And technically, I know from umpiring, even just silly softball stuff, if the game's over or it's a forfeit or a run rule, it's over. And you have to, and I mean, if they stay on the field and keep playing, that's on them, but you have to leave. Actually, our umpiring association said you have to leave. You can't stay. If they ask you to stay, you can't. I do know some guys who used to do that if they got paid a little extra money by the teams, but I pretty much didn't do that. I didn't want it to come back and bite me. So if somebody gets hurt, you umpired, they're gonna sue you for allowing the game to go on, and you're there, part of it. You got no argument. So I was always just like, no. So you're right. You can't. The umpires probably really couldn't stay whether they wanted to or not. That's probably been the most.
But it was interesting watching that.
Yeah. Oh, you watched it? I didn't get to watch it. I heard about
just some of the highlights. I didn't watch the whole.
Yeah, I
whole
saw
inning.
highlights from it. It's interesting. You're right. It was. Other than that, the rules haven't mattered too much yet. I did hear a couple interviews with guys that they think will be stealing more bases. Neither one admitted. I saw 2 or 3. Nobody admitted that they would do that more, but I'm sure they will because of the bigger bases. But as of right now, nobody's admitting that they'll do that. And if I'm a base stealer, I'm waiting till after the second pickoff move if I can, because the third one,
Sure.
you know, that's going to be a balk unless they get you out. So that's kind of a weird situation too. And I will say, Joey Gallo, talk about a guy that's cursed. I think he's in Texas now. Whoever it was he was playing moved their left fielder over to right center in the outfield. So technically in the outfield, you still had a shift, and that's the actual only way you could have something.
Huh.
So they still had a shift. Now you still take away that left fielder, but you had a guy like Gallo apparently can't hit the left field. The infield has to stay where it would normally has to be by rule, but you can still move your outfield. You can move one behind second base in the infield, or you can do what, and I can't remember the team. I want to say it was Boston, but I'm not sure. Move their left fielder into right center field. You know, almost like that short fielder that you play in softball. Right. And you know, that we saw a lot of last year. And it cost him a hit, I guess. So I'm like, Gallo is like snake bitten ever since he signed with the Yankees. Ever since he left Cincinnati, I guess he just hasn't. But he keeps finding a gig, so I mean that's good for him. But we'll see what happens. That's really about the only interesting things I've seen out of spring training so far. DeGrom was hurt. He's supposedly back now and ready to pitch. But that's really about the only thing, because Mets fans were kind of laughing for a couple of days. Oh, DeGrom's hurt already, you know, because he hasn't pitched a whole season or close to it in a few years. So what? Bill,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Real quick. They ruled on the Clevenger thing. Pitcher for.
What was the ruling?
No. They're gonna let him play with no repercussions.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Well, guess might be a weak case.
Right.
You know, and you know if they didn't.
I didn't read the whole story, but yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's a domestic situation, and apparently it's not a strong case. So, because otherwise he'd be suspended for.
Oh yeah. So.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any criminal charges coming from it. I read. So if there's no criminal charges, and MLB did an investigation, it's probably not a very strong case.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see what happens. It may not be over yet. You never know.
Yeah, and he's recovering from Tommy John from last year. He missed all last year. Tommy John.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. He can either be really good, or he could come out like Syndergaard and struggle a bit. You know, Syndergaard hasn't really looked good since having his Tommy John surgery. So, I think that's about it for all the up-to-date news from the Major League Baseball. Bill and I talked a little bit about watching the XFL. Not the most exciting football I've seen, but then again, I think what hurts them is they start the week after the Super Bowl. So after you got all this hype and pomp and circumstance and really good championship games, then you start out with a notch above semi-pro. You know, so it's kind of hard to get enthused, I think. USFL, you never know. That could be different. We'll see what happens there, but that doesn't even start till April. So you never know. I remember last year there were a couple decent games, but I still, this time of year, can't get glued to the TV for football. It's hard now after the Super Bowl. It's hard.
Yep. Jason
Kelce was on Saturday Night Live last night, Bill, and I don't know if you've seen any part of it, but he actually was pretty good.
Yeah,
he really was. A couple of the sketches he were in was good. He did a decent monologue. he did have his brother in the monologue. It's funny because his brother and his parents are there, and he was talking about having Jason there and trying to do a couple things, or yeah, having Jason there, and then they're showing Jason. He's like scowling, and places everybody else is laughing, and he's purposely scowling and mean face, and so he almost broke once, but it was funny. And he was there at the end, I think, or came in one skit, didn't say anything, but was there with Travis. But Travis Kelce was pretty good. I got to admit, he wasn't bad, and held his own. I think I only saw him in one skit where he almost lost. He almost cracked up, but so did the girl that was in it for Saturday Night Live. She did lose it, so it was just a goofy skit. So, other than that, I think it was okay. It's Saturday Night Live. It's not as good as it used to be. To me, after the Weekend Update, I usually don't watch anymore. It's like, and now you can get the Weekend Update jokes on YouTube the next day. So, but I did watch it on Peacock this morning, and it wasn't bad. He was pretty good. So, athletes on SNL, usually they're pretty good because they don't take themselves too seriously, and they're usually pretty good, and they know they're going to get an audience. So, so it worked out pretty well, I think. But that's your basic sports news, I guess. NBA, the Sixers won a big game in Milwaukee after losing one the other day to the Heat, that they should have won. They had a big lead, blew it, and then the Heat got them by a few double-figure points. It's like they're so inconsistent, but they're still like third in the East. They're hanging on. Actually gained a game on Boston the other night and Milwaukee when they beat Milwaukee last night with a
they're 3 behind Boston and 4 behind Milwaukee.
Yeah. So for all the little bit of inconsistency and stuff that they've had, they're in the hunt, which surprises me. I would like to see him send Tobias Harris somewhere and get somebody else that's decent. He's, to me, he's the one that's inconsistent. Maxey does okay. Of course, Embiid and Harden. You got to give Harden more credit. He's given up the ball more than I think everybody thought, but he hit some big shots last night to help bring him back too. So, I got to give him credit. And I was kind of against the move, but I got to give him credit. I think that was a good move. Dallas looked good against the Sixers the other night. Sixers held on, or hung tough for a while, but Dallas pulled away. But it took 40 from Irving and Luka each in the same game to beat the Sixers. They had 80 points combined, 82 points combined, I think. So, LeBron James is out at least 2 more weeks, maybe 3 now before they even look at his ankle. I think it's going to be one of them things where if they can realistically make the playoffs and he can go out and help, they'll have him. If it's not realistic, I think you're just going to sit him and try to build for next year. So we'll see what happens there. A lot of people are thinking that not Westbrook, who's the other, wants to go to the Lakers. And he's just hanging. Oh, Kyrie. A lot of people think he's just playing out this season in Dallas and wants to go to the Lakers next year and go back with LeBron. So we'll see if that happens. And if it does, what's it do for the Lakers? But that's kind of speculation and wait and see what happens. But there's
I don't know why he would go. I mean, I understand why he would go there, but I just don't. I don't see it.
I don't know. I kind of see it happening. I just don't see it being that successful.
I mean, he'll be third fiddle, behind LeBron and AD.
And AD.
So,
but then again, LeBron and AD haven't really had anybody with him. Westbrook didn't pan out. Say most teams now need that big 3, that third pretty decent scorer. So that might be what they need. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I think that's about all I have, unless you have something about the NBA.
No, The only thing I worry about my fantasy team, which I'm in second right now. So
Oh,
I
you're
don't
hanging
even
in
watch the
there then.
games. Yeah, I don't even watch the games. I just put my
Just look at the
lineup
numbers and
and look,
stats.
look
Yeah.
at the box scores. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to watch the game because it's a 3-point contest, basically. And the other
Yeah.
night, the Sixers game was like 135, 131. They're bombing, you know.
Hmm.
If one team's not hitting any threes, then they're going to get blown out and the game's over quick. So it's not the same. So there's no Bill Russell, no Willis Reed, no Wes Unseld, no
No.
Moses Malone, no big guys you're going to inside. Harden, and I give Harden and Embiid credit. They try to run a pick and roll once in a while, which is old school. But
Hmm.
most teams don't. It's just not, they won't hit the three. So it's like hit or brick.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not the same. The rebound doesn't
Yeah.
even come back to you. It's no fighting inside for the rebound because it's going to bounce clear outside usually. So
Hmm. Yeah. I just not happy with the big men just sitting at the 3-point line. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Embiid hit a three to win it, but I mean, Barkley and Shaq have said it best on TNT is he needs to pound the glass. He needs to be in the lane and take up space and score his points in there because he will dominate size-wise. He'll just dominate. But every so often he goes after that 3-point line or he tries to hit that 15-foot fall away. He's 7'3", 7'4". Why are you falling away? Should be falling forward. Break that. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. So it's not the same. But then again, we've already said that I'm the old man on the yard with a gun in my hand, get the frig off my lawn kind of a guy. So bastards. So unless you have something, I know the Patrick Kane trade is big in the NHL going to the Rangers.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nice addition, but you just never know how they're going to play with each other.
I know
It's
it. I know it. So
no
that'll be
chemistry.
interesting.
So.
That'll be interesting to watch. Rangers are going to make the playoffs, so it's a matter of do they elevate and how good do they get in the playoffs with Kane. He's a threat, obviously, so you got to pay
Hmm.
attention to that if you're playing the Rangers. The Flyers probably aren't going to
Flyers
make
are
the
done.
playoffs. Yeah, they're done. They couldn't even make a trade for Van Riemsdyk, and uh,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah, the Flyer fans are definitely can't stand Fletcher, the
a
GM
little
Fletcher.
disenchanted, I guess, right now is
Oh man,
just awful. But then again, he might be doing the process, try to get a draft pick or two or try to make some trades with what he
yeah.
can accumulate. But
Oh, the thing with hockey though, the draft picks really don't mean a whole heck of a
no,
lot.
I was just going to
And,
say that unless it's the number
especially,
one or two guy like McDavid
yeah,
or in the old days, Gretzky or Lindros or something. Unless you got one of those guys coming out, chances are after the second or third guy, the rest is
yeah,
a crapshoot.
yeah.
It really is. So. Of course, there's talk in the NFL about the Bears may be trading either Justin Fields or trying to trade their number one pick down. And people are speculating as to which way is it going to go. Will the Bears keep Fields and trade the pick? Will they keep Fields and draft another quarterback in case Fields doesn't work out? Because remember the rookie deals, you can make that affordable the first 3 or 4 years.
Hmm.
Or do they trade down and still get, a first rounder and something else they like? Because you got a lot of teams out there need a quarterback. Or they trade Fields and draft a quarterback. So
Yeah, I
speculation on
think
the number one pick.
I'm thinking on leaning though because no matter who you, if they trade Fields, you still got to have a line to
This is true.
protect a rookie quarterback. So
And
I think
maybe
they
that's
keep.
why
I
you
think
trade. Yeah.
I think they keep Fields and they move the pick. I think.
That seems to be the general consensus. Uh, I will say I saw Todd McShay today on ESPN, and he thinks they will trade Fields and get still get #1 picks and draft a different quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you can get more draft assets.
Yeah, and you could build your offensive line that way. So it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, how they work that out. But that's really about it. I don't think there's been any new coaching changes or big time player changes. We still got some teams need some quarterbacks. We'll see how that shapes out in the next few days.
They're saying Philly might lose Miles Sanders.
I heard that. Originally, it looked like he was going to try and stay, but now it looks like maybe not. I don't know. He said supposedly he likes it there and he'd like to stay, but they all say that. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, Joe Mixon's in Cincinnati. They might not sign him.
Yeah, heard that. And Jason
Fournette was let go. Yeah, Fournette was let go. Or Fournette.
Yeah, well, he asked to be let go. He said.
Yeah, so he's
The
let
only
go.
reason he signed there was Tom Brady. Now Brady's gone, and he must really think he is because he's saying he just wants to go somewhere else. I think his best days are behind him. I think he'll be a power back, or maybe catch something on the screen and try to run through some guys. But I think his best days are behind him. But he got a Super Bowl, so good for him. A win, so that's good. He got a ring. Jason Kelce could retire. He hasn't made up his mind yet. And of course, in the clubhouse leading who hasn't made up their mind yet, the infamous Aaron Rodgers has come out of his Groundhog Day hole or wherever he was, and just like last year, has not made up his mind. Packers hold all the cards here. He could say, I want to be traded, and the Packers could say, well, you waited too long and we can't do it now. It's not fair to Jordan Love. But Jordan Love's been there a couple of years, so.
Yeah, it's not fair to anybody. I mean,
it really isn't. Him keeping everybody away, it's not fair to teams that are out there looking for quarterback, like the Jets, the Raiders, maybe the Colts, but I don't see him going to the Colts for some reason. There hasn't been much speculation there. There's been some about the Raiders because of Devontae Adams. And of course, quite a bit about the Jets because of Hackett going there. And both teams do have some weapons. It looks like the Raiders will probably franchise tag Jacobs, the running back, if they haven't already. That should all come out within the next couple of days. I think Wednesday is the deadline for franchise tags. So we'll wait and see what happens there. We'll find out if Lamar gets franchise tagged. We haven't heard anything about him yet, except, he's not signed. That's all we've got.
Right.
Other than that, I think that's about it for the NFL. So I think we've covered everything. MLS is just getting started. I did see I think there might be a Saturday game every week on Fox, Bill. I think there's one this week, and I did see one last week and watched a little bit of it. So I think every Saturday there might be one game on Fox, but then the rest are on Apple TV.
Right.
So
the quality on the game last night was pretty good. I was impressed with the quality of it.
Was it on Fox or Apple?
It was on Apple.
Oh, you did watch it? You did get the Apple thing?
Yeah, I just used Steve. Steve has Apple TV.
Steve's got one.
He bought he just bought the MLS package.
Okay. All right, that's good. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that, but that ought to be interesting. Philly will be on. Actually, it's on Fox. They're on Fox in about 3 or 4 weeks, I think. One of their games. So now it's baseball time, Bill. All we're going to do today, we're not going to talk about our picks unless we want to elaborate on something. But as far as what order you and I are going to pick them in, we've decided not to do that today. We're going to tell you what DraftKings says, and they're giving us the order for every division, and we can discuss why or why not if we want, or we can just go, okay, let's move on and see how we do from there. Next week, Bill and I will make our picks for the National League, And then the week after that, we will make our picks for the American League. And if we still have the week in between, which I think we do, we can make our picks for how we think it's going to happen in the postseason. Which now DraftKings has that too, so we can always go into that when we do our postseason stuff. But we are in MLB March Madness for us from the cheap seats. So here we go, Bill. DraftKings is starting with the American League Central, and they are saying that the Cleveland Guardians, I hate that freaking name. The Guardians, it's almost as bad as Commanders, are the favorites by, and well, we don't need to go into the odds, but they're saying they are the favorites with the White Sox finishing second, the Royals third, believe it or not, Minnesota fourth. Oh, wait, no. Oh, they have it. I apologize. They have it written weird. Oh, they got it alphabetical. It's my fault. But it is still the Guardians first, the Twins second, the White Sox third, and then $2,200 to one, Detroit, and $3,000. I knew this is what threw me off when I saw Kansas City, and it looked like they were third. I went, no way. They're in their 38th straight rebuild year or whatever it is. They are 3,000. They're plus 3,000 to win the division. So it's Cleveland, Minnesota, the White Sox, the Tigers, the Royals. Huh, interesting. I know Chicago did sign a couple free agents, but so did the Twins. You remember, it's got Correa, who they had last year, but after that debacle in San Francisco and then with New York, the Mets ends up back in Cleveland for a lot less years than he was looking for.
Yeah, no, that's. I think not just to throw off our things. Cleveland's just definitely, I think, just way over top of everybody else.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's
I mean,
weird.
Minnesota might be close, but I just.
I don't know. I think the White Sox underachieved last year. Remember, they had Tony La Russa for part of the season, and he's, he makes Methuselah look like a teenager, in baseball terms. So, and then at one point he was done for the season. So, a full season under a new manager, and I think they've signed a couple people. They did lose Rodon to the Yankees in free agency.
Right.
Big time starting pitcher there, so that hurts them. So that's fairly close without us going into who we're going to pick. I could see either or as far as Cleveland and the Twins. Could be flip-flopped, but yeah, I could see that. Cleveland's got probably one of the best managers ever in Tony Francona. The guy's great manager, and players love him too. But yeah, I could see that. The American League East goes Yankees, Blue Jays, Tampa Bay, Boston, and your Orioles. Boston is 1,700 to one, or plus 1,700 to win the division, and the Orioles are plus 2,200. Like, yikes. But if you look at it, you can see the Red Sox lost Bogarts. They've signed a couple, I want to say, B-level players, not quite A-level, to try to make up for some of that. But they're going to move Kiki Hernandez into the infield, probably at shortstop to replace Bogarts, and then they signed a fielder. They did try to beef up the bullpen. They signed Kenley Jansen and a couple other guys, but Yankees
I
are.
don't think it's enough.
Yep. The big signing was the
Yankees-
re-signing of Aaron Judge for the Yankees.
Yeah, that's going to be a three dog race there, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Yankees, Blue Jays, and Tampa. Yeah, and that's the way they have it. So that's probably right. You
Hmm.
never know though. The Red Sox have surprised people in the past, but it'd be hard pressed to see it this time. And it's a shame as I think as much as your Orioles improved, they still just won't pull the trigger on some deals and they lose
Yeah.
players they won't re-sign left and right. They're talking about their young catcher though, and I can't remember his name. I looked up just before, but he's really pretty good. He's going to come on. They think he's
Hmm.
going to be really good. He played the second half of the season, and a lot of people are rating him right behind Real Muto as one of the best catchers in the game,
Yeah.
and a couple have said better than Real Muto overall when you put hitting and defensively. Uh,
Yeah.
I think he's still got to prove that yet, but he may. This could be his breakout year.
Yeah. That's Adley Rushman.
Yes, that's him. Uh, and from what I've seen, I like the way the kid plays the game. He looks good.
Mhm.
Um, in the AL West, DraftKings has, what a surprise, Houston, but then Seattle. Looks like Texas and the Angels are basically tied. And then the Oakland A's are, wow. If this isn't a misprint, then it's the biggest one I've ever seen. Plus 20,000 to win the division, not 2,000. I had to double check and make sure, are my glasses right? Did I miss a zero or add a zero? Nope. 20,000, not 2,000 to win the division. And that's just division.
Yeah.
Yikes. But Oakland makes your Baltimore Orioles look like competitors.
Yeah.
They don't try to keep anybody, they try to give it away.
Yeah, they try to give them people away all the time. I
Yeah.
don't understand that.
Buy one at a discount and get a second one free. You only
Yeah.
pay full price for that one you buy. They're giving they're like crazy Eddie, Bill. They're insane. Yeah.
That's Billy Bean. Is that who's still there?
Billy
Billy
Bean's
Bean?
still there, I guess. And you know what it is every what 6 or 7 years they come up with a decent team. Decent.
Yeah.
And
But
they
then the following
compete.
year it's just
And then the following year down.
they don't want to pay
No.
them salary.
It's kind of like the old well, it used to be Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins deal where they get in and get a good team, win the World Series, and then dismantle it
Yeah.
almost immediately. And then 4 or 5 years later, win it again and then dismantle it completely. So yeah, it's not looking good in Oakland.
Which some of those teams will never have a dynasty. Like you said, once every 5 years, once every
Yeah,
10 years.
yeah, yeah. That's what the Royals did. They won in 2015. Now they haven't been good since. They've
Hmm.
kept one or two good people, and that's it. Um, but that's pretty much it. But yeah, the Athletics are, and I think the other part of that too is I think they want to get out of Oakland, and
Probably.
they did well. They've been trying. Believe it or not, they've been trying to go to Vegas. What a shock! The second Oakland team to try to go to Vegas, and get Vegas to build them a stadium, and it could happen. You never know.
And it could happen. I mean, look,
Yeah.
hey, their football was
Football has been a big success, and
yeah,
Vegas is going to say, "Hey, we put a team in here, and you make it decent when within the first couple of years of getting it here,
yep.
this could work."
And hockey, the Knights have been
Hockey, the
really
Golden
good.
Knights were good. I mean, they were good right out of the gate. Didn't they go to the Stanley Cup Finals first year they were in the league?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
I mean, it's a good business model and a good business opportunity in Vegas. So, and there was talk of that, so that could still be ongoing. So. I know they hate playing in the Oakland Coliseum. It's awful. So we will see what happens there. Almost like in Major League, when what's her name says, "We want to lose so bad that I want to go to Florida and move our team there." So, but yeah, it's one of those things. So that's it for the American League division winners. According to DraftKings, it'll be Cleveland in the Central, the Yankees in the East, and the Astros in the West of the American League. Um, I don't know. I don't. League winner, regular season. We don't need to go into to make the playoffs. Here we go. They have. Oh, they're not ranking them. They're just by alphabetical, so we don't need to
by
go.
odds. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to go into all that. So let's take a look at the National League. Draft brought to you by DraftKings as well. In the National League Central, it looks like a two-team race according to DraftKings. The Cardinals are a minus 120. The Brewers are a plus 160. The Cubs are a plus 650. The Pirates are 4,500. But are they the lowest team? No, they
Yeah, I
are.
think Pittsburgh.
That's
Pittsburgh.
No, that's Pittsburgh. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Those
Pittsburgh. I
is
think
the Cincinnati Reds.
really.
Yes, at yes, plus 6,000. Pirates are only plus 45,000. No, 600. Yeah, 6,000. And the Pirates are 4,500.
Wow.
So yes, they're picking Cincinnati to bite the bullet big time. Cardinals lost Pujols, always a DH threat, I guess. I think the bigger loss is Molina. Benji Molina, one of the great defensive catchers of all time. But him retiring, losing him. And I think Wainwright's going to the bullpen. I don't think he's going to be a starter anymore. I think he was re-signed by the Cardinals, but I think to be a bullpen pitcher. So I don't like a closer, but supposedly a late inning bullpen guy. Other than that, I mean, you've still got what? You've got some good players on that team, and they're thinking that's going to be it.
They're consistent. There's that Cardinal
Yes,
team for years.
they
They're
are a
all
consistent team, and I think that's what's going to be tough to beat. Milwaukee, I think they were picked to win the division last year and fell flat and didn't even make the playoffs. They were in the hunt for a while. I think it was actually Philly that knocked them out.
yeah. I think and not a mistake. I think some injuries hurt them last year.
Yeah, and they traded Hader to the
Yes.
Padres. And supposedly they got somebody back, but he wasn't anywhere near as good as Hader. He didn't pan out. So then you have, I'm going to go the National League West, and then we can finish up with the East only because of Philly being there. The National League West, they still have the Dodgers finishing first, minus
They lost a
115.
lot. They lost three starters.
Yeah,
Bellinger,
yeah, and you lost part of your
Turner.
field leader too, and Justin Turner, who went to the Red Sox. That's who it was they signed, the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But yeah, and somebody got hurt. Yeah, their shortstop got hurt. The guy they were going to have to replace Trey Turner got hurt. So, and he's out for the season. I think he had an ACL. He got hurt during a spring training game. He's out. So, right now, it's one of their normal utility guys is slated in to be the starting shortstop. So that's going to hurt. That's a big drop off losing Trey Turner and having to put in a sub. That's a big drop off. Yeah, you still have Freddie Freeman. You still have Mookie Betts. Like you said, the pitching is they got hurt with the pitching. And even Clayton Kershaw, I think, is going to start late. I think he's got an injury. Then we'll have to see how effective he is down the road. But they're still picking the Dodgers over the Padres, who are a plus 120. I'll be honest, it wouldn't surprise
I like
me.
that plus 120. That's a heck of a bet.
Yeah, yeah. Dodgers are minus 115, but the Padres are plus 120. Now, I do think the Padres have some pitching issues. They have a couple only. Oh, I think they only have one. You have Yu Darvish, right?
Right.
Musgrove. But I think after that, it's a pretty big drop off. Starting pitching wise, but they're going to be in the same boat as the Dodgers for a while anyway, because the Dodgers have injuries. So then you start looking at the offense. They signed Xander Bogaerts, so now their shortstop is taken care of forever. You still have Manny Jerk
Yeah.
Machado,
Then they just
who he
then
said
they
it's his
just signed
last
him.
year, but he's still going to play
I
it.
thought I thought they were signing him towards. I thought it was somewhere
I
like a
heard they
12-year deal
might.
or
I heard they're trying to, but he's leaning toward testing out. But who knows? It wouldn't surprise me if he gets signed down the
something.
road
Yeah, I mean,
if
the
they
numbers
can.
were like 12 years, 425 million or something.
Whoo! Is he worth that? I don't know. Is he worth that, Bill? Compared to
He's
everybody
30
else?
years. He's 30 years old. So
10 years takes him to 40.
last year he batted 298, 32 homers, 102 ribbies. So
Yeah, that's production. Oh, he's a slapjack, though. He's a jerk.
I know.
But you you still have Juan Soto in right field.
Yeah.
Tatis, they're going to try and teach him how to play left field if he can stay off the juice.
Hmm.
Supposedly he took something. Uh, he didn't know it was PED, but he took a medicine for ringworm, and that's what caused it. Please, yeah, all right. Let's see what his numbers look like this year, and that'll tell you maybe the ringworm was helping him hit. I don't know, but
Yeah.
they're going to
I,
supposedly teach him how to play left field. That's the way they were leaning. So Bogarts would play shortstop. So, and
yeah.
if that works out,
Like you said, Machado, Bogart, Soto, and Tatis.
mhm,
That's pretty good.
that's a pretty good lineup. So,
And I think they got this Korean kid too.
uh, yeah, I saw the name.
Hak Sun Kim.
Yeah, Kim, I think's the last name you're right. Uh,
So
it's different than Kim Jong Un.
yes,
Yeah, he's not
Hak
playing.
Sun Kim.
Yeah, um, Dennis Rodman couldn't get him a tryout, I guess. So.
Yeah.
So they're picking Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, Rockies. Rockies at 18,000? Yes.
Yeah,
Rockies,
they're bad.
yeah, they're bad. 18,000 to 1. Woo! That's a hell of a bet. But yeah, the
I
Rockies,
say the Diamondbacks probably won't be bad. They might be a surprise team there.
yeah, they're 5,000,
They got
but
they got young. They got a young pitching staff that's
yeah, if the
pitching
pitching
pretty
staff
good.
looks good, then they'll be okay. Uh, they could compete maybe for a wild card or in the outer skirts of a wild card, maybe, but even that would be an improvement for them. So that'd be good to see. Uh, Last but not least, the NL East. This, I think, it depends on who you listen to because the other day I was listening and watching to some guys on MLB, and they were all picking the Braves to win the division. DraftKings has the Mets
Mets.
eking out the division barely. Their bet is a plus 130. The Braves is a plus 140.
Hmm.
And the Phillies are still in that hunt at a plus 270.
What's that? 270 plus 270 is pretty good.
Is it
That's
270 or
not.
370? It is three. I apologize. It's 370. Uh,
Oh,
but even that
so,
isn't
so no
extremely
respect.
bad.
No respect. Three plus
No,
three
no
seventy.
respect, no respect at all. Yeah, uh, the Mets, I think, improved themselves, if for nothing else, with DeGrom leaving and them citing Verlander.
Right.
I think that's a little better, right? Verlander's going to give them more innings, I think. He's going to be more short term. He's only going to have a couple years, but he's very durable usually. Where DeGrom throws a couple of 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and he's done for 4 weeks. It seems like anyway. He's constantly hurt. So I think Verlander with Scherzer, I think is that's a 1-2 punch like crazy.
That's nice. That is nice. So I can
Yeah,
see
you
why.
still have Reyes. You still have um, you still have Daniel Murphy, and they've got
Uh,
who's playing first. It's not Smith. Oh, Pete Alonso
Let me
playing
bring in.
first. I mean, they've got some studs. So I think, and they re-signed Nimmo, who's a more of a get on base stealer kind of a guy. That'll be a guy to watch to see if he steals more bases.
Mhm.
But they signed him for 3 or 4 more years. So that's all going to be pretty interesting to watch the Mets, I think. Um, Arguably the best announcers in baseball, as far as a baseball announcing team. Philadelphia's isn't bad. I like Philadelphia's radio when Larry Anderson's on. When it's Anderson and Scott Fransky on radio, that's pretty good. And sometimes they'll actually be synced up on the MLB broadcast, and they're fun to listen to. McCarthy's, he's better with Kruk. Ben Davis is, Ruben Amaro should just stay in the studio or do whatever. He's just awful, I think, personally. He gets into analytics.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy steps to the plate and he'll tell you that he's the third guy with a tattoo on his left arm that clacks his heel with a baseball bat that's ever gotten a hit. Yeah, I don't care about any of that shit. It's an extreme thing. So I don't mind Davis, but I really like Kruk. He makes it. He's a regular guy that played baseball, knows enough
Mhm.
about the game, but he's not condescending with it. And McCarthy, I guess he played minor league ball, I found out, but still sometimes he just acts like he was this big player. And it seems like the curveball, you're play by play, let those other guys talk about that. They got a little more credibility than you. So I don't know. Is Gary Thorne still doing Baltimore games?
No, no,
No,
no, no.
I like him. I really did like him. I used to like him. I like John Miller. I think if he's not
Oh,
retired.
John Miller, love John. Yeah, John Miller was the best, I think.
Yeah, John Miller was probably the best for Baltimore. He was great. Um, Yankees, Michael Key gets on my nerve. Michael K gets on my nerves. And even their radio guy, oh, Yankees, shut up. We know who they are. Take a hike.
You know who I can't, and it's not, and I'm all for women having jobs and everything, but that that
Oh,
chick in New
Susan,
York is terrible.
but she's
I
just
can't
terrible.
stand
Right. I just don't
her.
like it. Right. She's just terrible.
She-
It's
she's
kind of
terrible.
condescending. I mean, it just
Yeah.
gets my nerves. There's some guys out there that are pretty decent. I like how energetic Matt Vasgersian gets when he does the weekly games for MLB, or he was doing ESPN's broadcast, I guess.
Hmm.
He does, I think, the Angels. I think he's their play-by-play guy. He's pretty good. Uh, it'll be interesting to see. I'm surprised Joe Buck's not doing any baseball for ESPN, but he said nope, he only wants to do football. But for the money he's getting, why not, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No
They they
doubt.
they approached him about doing Cardinals games, which were his favorite team, and he said no, because I forget who was with the Cardinals, but he retired. So they ended up getting somebody that's just, I think, from radio, moved him over. But they asked 3 or 4 guys. We would be remiss if we don't mention the passing of Tim McCarver. Some
Yes.
people liked him, some people didn't as an announcer. Um, I admit that I liked him as a player. Uh, and you can't argue with a guy that caught his resume as a catcher when he caught Bob Gibson, Rick Wise, Steve Carlton, and was great with all of them.
Yes.
And I saw an interview with Gibson, and he was like, I've never thrown or seen a better catcher defensively ever.
Hmm.
And Carl, let's face it, he was Carlton's specified catcher for a long time. He might not even be the starter for the Phillies, but he was playing when Carlton
Yeah.
pitched.
Yeah,
And they were in sync, baby. I mean, Carlton gave all the props to McCarver when he went in the Hall of Fame. I
hmm
mean, so as a player, you couldn't argue with him. And he was okay as an analyst. I thought sometimes he repeated himself over and over, but it is what it is. I mean, those guys have a tough enough job. Um, but definitely a Hall of Famer, knew the game, and supposedly a great guy off the field as well. So condolences and RIP to Tim McCarver. condolences to his family. But you know, one of the greats gone again. It's going to
Yeah.
happen to us, Bill, as we get older.
Yeah, it's
Someday they'll say that about us, Bill. Two of the greats. Bill's a great
two of
guy.
the best from
I was a great big
two of the
asshole.
best from the yeah, two of the best from the cheap seats.
Two of the best from the cheap seats. Bill, a great guy. John, a great big asshole. There you go. Two of the greats. Yeah, baby.
There you go.
There you go.
Being great. That's what
Yep.
counts.
So they've got Mets, Braves, Phillies, Marlins, Nationals. Nationals are going to be bad too. They
might be the worst.
they say 20,000, so they're still saying Oakland's the worst, with probably the Nationals second worst and the Rockies third. Oh man, that's not good. It's not good.
Is that just to win the division? Or is that
Yeah,
the World
that's just
Series?
to win the division. That's
Yeah,
not count playoff. Imagine the
let's hear
playoffs.
the World Series. Let's hear the World Series one.
See, I think you have to do it by team, but give me a second here. Regular season player awards. I don't want all that shit. League winner. Here we go. Let's see what it says here. All right, it goes down by they're picking the Astros to win. The Yankees have the second best shot with the Mets. They're both tied. Then Dodgers, Braves, Padres, Blue Jays, Phillies, Mariners, Cardinals. Let's see.
Phillies to win. What's the number for the
Phillies
Phillies?
number is plus 1,700. They're all plus. Houston's plus 600. So let me see. I'm going to try and get down to we were going to look let's say Diamondbacks 15,000 to win the whole thing. Washington 40,000 plus to win the whole thing. So now I just got to find Oakland. It must be lower. Yeah, Oakland's the worst. The Rockies are 40,000. Oakland is 50. Washington's 40, Oakland's 50, Rockies. So it's Oakland is going worst up. It's Oakland, Colorado, Washington.
So that's $1 when you 50,000.
Right, yeah. That's almost worth making a couple of phone calls and go, I lost $1. What's the worst thing can happen? Yeah, the three-legged horse won the Derby. Woohoo! You know, how the hell that happened? But yeah, league winner, of course, National League. Mets 200, Dodgers 425. They're all still plus. Yeah, Nationals and Rockies are still the worst, obviously 20,000 to 22,000. Rockies are actually picked lower to win the league than the Nationals. I don't know how that worked, but okay. And
what's Baltimore? What's Baltimore?
Baltimore is to win the American League is 3,000 plus 3,000. But that's on the low end of the scale, though. They are one of the the fifth level.
I was gonna say if they were up in the tens of thousands, I would.
Oh no, Kansas City's next, and they are exactly 10,000. As are the Tigers, and then Oakland's 25,000. Yikes! Oakland shouldn't even bother playing the season. Bring the AAA team. Maybe that's probably what they did. They're bringing up the AAA team. So it's not going to be pretty. They have regular season wins. Diamondback. That's alphabetical. I don't want to go into all that. All right, so there you have it, buddy. National League, it's St. Louis, the Mets, and who do we say out west? Oh, they're saying the Dodgers. I would guess we will make our American League picks next week. The week after that, the National League, and then we're off and running, baby. Of course, any other sports news in between, we will let you folks know. Bill, unless you have anything else sports related?
No, I think we can pretty much covered it.
I think we covered just about everything that there is to cover for right now. March Madness is just starting. A lot of the tournaments are just getting going, so keep an eye on that. We'll watch that for you if there's any developments before the official NCAA tournament starts. And of course, we're keeping an eye on the NBA and NHL for you as well. So
This just in, Flyers won, beat Detroit 3-1.
wow,
And
that's
your new team, Carolina, put a whooping on Tampa Bay, 6-0.
woo. Go Rod Brindamore, baby. Old school Flyers. Old school Flyers, their coach.
Yeah.
That's the way that goes. Boston,
Yeah.
still unbelievable. The Bruins are on pace to have the most wins ever in a season.
Let me see what
And of course, the most points if that happens.
I think they only lost like 5 games here. Let's
Yeah,
see.
they are.
No, they're 49-8. Unbelievable. And Carolina's not far, 41-12.
No, isn't that terrible that Carolina's having a great season but because they're in the same division, nobody's even talking about them. So, but it's going to be interesting because it's been over a decade since the team with the most wins and most points has won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And usually they don't get past the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Bruins once the playoffs start. So be something to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think we're ready to get out of here. For Dennis and Graldi at Vineland Realty Corporation, folks, 634 East Landis Avenue. You can call them at 856-690-9482. And for my pal Billy Smith and everyone else here affiliated with From the Cheap Seats, Gizmo, who made a noise when we said something about the Yankees. I don't think he's a Yankees fan. But I heard a boom, which
I don't blame him.
which for him is unusual because he doesn't usually make noise. So that got a reaction out of him. So for all those folks and everyone here at From the Cheap Seats, thanks, Bill. We will see you guys next week.
Sounds good, Johnny. Have a good one, buddy.
You too, pal.